So I'm gonna start a new series called the Treyfecta, where I talk about 3 things, how they all go together. It's how my brain thinks. My name is Trey, get used to it. I'm a church planner if you don't know me. Here's the 3 things. I posted this on Instagram the other day and it really got a lot of traction and a lot of questions. So the 3 things I think are most essential is we always have to make sure we are sharp on our theology. This is where seminary is most helpful, but hopefully we are still students after seminary. It's amazing how easy it is to drift theologically. And so I think in our book reading and our conversations, theology needs to be key. Also in our sermons. The second thing that I have found that helps me is formation. So the formation world has been very helpful. Some people would call this discipleship, but I think the language of spiritual formation, that whole world, has even better answers on how do we take care of the mind, soul, body, all of who we are, conforming into the image of Jesus. And then the last category, theology and formation, has kind of been, I would say the beginning of my church planning journey was mainly theology. 2018, I hit a major roadblock and I realized I need something. Stumbled into Dallas Willard and Richard Foster. That was my gateway into spiritual formation. I've been obsessed with it ever since. But the third thing, especially as my congregation grows, that I really have to lean into and constantly learn from. Now this stuff is good because it gives language, but a lot of this you can't learn from books. Books give you language for it, but you have to learn it through the hard knocks of leadership. And I would actually just call it family systems theory. Now, you could just call this leadership, but family systems theory, I think, has been helpful language for me to understand what anxiety does in every room, how I need to lead myself in a particular way. And so I actually want to show you 3 books that I think are most helpful. Let me pivot this light that direction. Here's my top recommendations for now. I'm not saying they're the best of the best, but as I'm thinking about it, these books are really good in getting theology, formation, and family systems theory in your wheelhouse. So to start with theology, I would actually begin with Dr. Morgan. He was my professor at college. It's just called Christian Theology. So Wayne Grudem's systematic theology is quite large. I really like how succinct, again, it's a big book, small font, but I really enjoy how succinct Christopher Morgan created this resource for people. I feel like he does a very good job not being biased in one direction or the other. He kind of gives a lot of the different views. And so this book is a wonderful primer for me that I read every single year to just remind myself about the importance of ecclesiology and the doctrine of sin and what is the kingdom. This book has been so helpful for me and keeps me just on the straight and narrow, to be honest. Now, the second category was formation. Formation, if you're a pastor, I would actually begin with Eugene Peterson's The Contemplative Pastor. This is talking about forming your character as a pastor. And one thing I love most about this book, if I remember it correctly, he said the pastor has 3 main jobs. And so many of us are so busy running the church, we don't actually do the things that are most important. He says praying, which I think is interesting. You see that in Acts 6:4. The pastor's main job is to pray, to preach the word of God, and then he says to listen. And I love that third line about listening. We often don't have enough time to listen to the heart of our congregation. How are we creating our buildings? Are we creating prayer rooms and spaces? How are we prioritizing? This is my studio, but when Lord willing, when we get a church building, I'm gonna call my office, not the office, it's gonna be a study. It communicates your values. So this book was really helpful for me in understanding I really need to change the way I'm forming my life as a pastor. So that's theology, that's formation. The last category that I think is so helpful, but a game changer, I can actually have many, many recommendations in this category, just like the other ones. But I think this is a good primer. Family Systems and the Congregational Life by Robert Creech. Now again, family systems is a theory, but I think it has a lot of good conversations, a lot of good language that talk about how you present yourself in a room, to understand what people are actually saying behind their words. I don't think I'm doing a good job giving you a pitch why you should invest in family systems theory, but I wish I implemented these practices way sooner in my journey. If you know this language, I am so easily, naturally bent towards enmeshment, just trying to make everybody happy. What that does is you're not leading anybody in doing that. The other side is detachment. And so many of us just turn into jerks and we don't care about souls. And so Get this book, Family Systems and Congregational Life. I have a bunch of other resources. Comment below if this is generating. If you think of another trifecta, go ahead and comment below. Thank you for watching. Also, was this not the coolest thing? Thank you for watching today's video. This is the video I think you should watch. This is the video YouTube says you should watch.